A warm welcome, my frosty friends. Badral here. This is a guide on how to complete all achievements in Elden Ring. I played the game on Steam, but the achievements shouldn't differ depending on platforms, so you should be fine using this guide regardless of playing it on a PlayStation or Xbox. I made chapters for each achievement or sub-step, so you can only watch those parts that interest you. I would recommend to look at the short introduction as well, as there is covered some basic knowledge about the completion process and how I structured this video guide. And with that, let's begin. In typical fashion for FromSoft games, the quest and story structure can get quite complex in Elden Ring. A lot of items, locations and bosses are entirely optional and are locked behind a quest or similar. I tried to group the content broadly into story and endings, bosses and legendary items. Whenever you have to stray somewhat away from the normal path or complete a quest to get to the desired boss or item, I'll try and show you how to get there as well. Additionally, because some questlines or locations are very crucial and necessary for multiple steps on the completion list, I'll describe how to get there in one place and link there from all the other spots in the video where this is mentioned. Finally, I tried to include maps with general directions where it fits. Sadly, the map is not in every region really useful, so the value of that may differ from case to case. If I forgot something important or something is unclear, please don't hesitate to ask and I'll try to help you out. In theory, you need 3 playthroughs to complete all achievements. If you would like to go down this route, you can complete as much as possible in your first journey and just do the necessary story parts in journey 2 and 3. This way you will probably be pretty powerful by then and can complete the required task quite quickly. There are some points which can lock you out of completion in a playthrough. One such example would be the Bolt of Grandsax. If you accidentally kill an important NPC, you can sometimes even revive them with Celestial Dew at the Church of Vows. The bad ending can even be prevented if you complete a certain questline. In practice and with a little trickery, it is thus entirely possible to complete all achievements in one playthrough with the following trick. There is a possibility to preserve your save, called Save-Scumming. This is especially easy on PC. You can just copy the numbered folder in c/user/appdata/roaming/eldenring/numbered folder to a safe space, and after performing one of the 3 endings, delete the folder in the same directory and then put back the before saved folder into the before mentioned directory. Rinse and repeat this process until you've got all 3 endings. The perfect spot to do this is right after beating the Elden Beast. If you haven't gotten the item to revert the bad ending, you can also just complete the questline to get the Flame of Frenzy after you defeated the boss with the backup file. Sadly, I have no experience with save-scumming on console, so I'll link some videos in the description for that, so you can look at those if you're on PlayStation or Xbox. This is most certainly the first achievement most players will get. It triggers once you enter the namesake place. There are 2 ways to get to the hold. Once, after you visit the 12 different sites of graces, Melina will appear and lead you to it. The other way is to skip entire Stormveil Castle. For this you can go northwards from Stormhill Shack, where the Finger Reader Crone is located, at the Broken Bridge. At the end of the bridge you can jump down some debris and then run up the slope to the north past some packs of wolves. Once at the top you can activate the lake face and cliffs site of grace, and Melina will appear as well and lead you to the hold. For this achievement you will need to activate a great rune of one of the demigod bosses at the corresponding divine tower. One of the first runes you'll come across is the one of Godrick the Grafted. His great rune is located at the tower to the east of Stormhill Castle. You can get there from the gateside chamber Site of Grace. After dodging a hail of arrows and running past some enemies, you'll get to the tower bridge Site of Grace. Running past some golems, you'll find a teleporter gate that brings you to the tower, where you can activate the rune. This is a mandatory story achievement where you'll need to set the Erdtree Aflame after you defeated the fire giant at the mountain tops of the giants. You will get this achievement if you meant the Elden Ring in 4 of the possible 6 endings. Those are the default ending, the Age of Fracture, Fia's quest ending, Age of Duskborn, the Dung Eater's ending, Blessing of Despair, or Brother Corhin's ending, Age of Order. If you completed Ranni's questline, you can summon her at the end of the game with the summoning sign on the floor to initiate the corresponding ending. Ranni's questline is very important for many other achievements. Following here are the steps required to complete her full questline and get the ending. If you somehow mess up the order of her questline, you can try to get the required item without talking to any of the persons, and it should still work. I skipped some steps in my first playthrough, and it was still possible for me to progress through the questline. You can meet her a first time at the Church of Ele at night. If you miss this step, you can find her at Ranni's Rise after defeating Royal Knight Loretta. Attention, if you trigger the Radahn's festival, she won't appear before you defeated him. After you talked with her in Ranni's Rise, you'll have to speak with her accomplices Ichi, Seluvis and Blade in their spectral form in her tower. You can then talk with Blade at Siofra River, Seluvis in his tower, and Sorceress Selen, who will inform you that you'll have to defeat Radahn to get into Nokron. In my first playthrough, I already defeated Radahn before meeting Ranni, and I got into Nokron without talking to any of the others. Head west from the Fort Haight West Site of Grace down the spiraling hole that appears after defeating Radahn. Jump further down until you reach a cave. Inside, drop down some floors and go through the door. Head northeast across the rooftops and some silver tier enemies until you reach a window. Enter and drop further down to the floor of the building. Pass through the door in the east and enter Nokron, Eternal City. From there, going southeast, you will encounter a boss arena with the Mimic Tier boss. After defeating the tier and crossing the bridge, you'll have to go west to the Ancestral Woods Site of Grace and jump down the cliff onto the rooftops. Navigate further across the roofs and battle through some silver tier enemies until you can cross the big street along a stone arch and drop down into the big cathedral. Leave the cathedral towards the south until you reach the Knight's Sacred Ground Site of Grace. From there, head north to the giant throne with the skeleton on top and open the chest inside the room to get the Fingerslayer blade. After bringing Ranni the blade, she will hand you the Carian Inverted Statue item, which you'll need to use in the lobby of the Carian Study Hall to flip the tower upside down. In the flipped tower, go towards the top and leave the tower so you arrive at the bridge. Beware, you will be ambushed by a Godskin Noble on the bridge. On the other side you will see another divine tower with Ranni's body inside, holding the curse mark of death. Next you will need to go to Renna's Rise beside Ranni's tower and use the Waygate to get to Ainsel River Main, where you'll be able to loot a miniature Ranni doll. After talking to the doll 3 times at the Site of Grace, Ranni will answer you and task you to defeat the Baleful Shadow. From Ainsel River Main, go down south to the Ul Palace ruin. Beware, as there is a malformed star hanging down from the ceiling. Go down the waterfall until you reach the Noxtella Eternal City site of grace. Don't go up the stairs, instead walk west following the water until you reach a small room with an elevator. Head down to the Noxtella waterfall basin and rest at the site of grace. From there it's only a short way further south until you reach the Baleful Shadow. After defeating it, Rani will award you a discarded palace key. In the room where you fight Rennala is a locked chest beside her site of grace, which can be opened with the aforementioned key. Doing so grants you the Dark Moon Ring. With the ring you can travel to the Lake of Rot that lies further south behind the Baleful Shadow fight. This is a nasty place, so try to bring something with you to help you fight off the Scarlet Rot, like some incantations or consumables. From the shore, head to the southwest. You can activate 4 pillars in the lake to make the traversing a lot easier. These stay activated even when you die. Inside the Grand Cloister, after heading down the flight of stairs and activating the Site of Grace, you will need to go west and start jumping down the prominences. At the end of the cloister is a coffin that will lead you to the boss fight Astel, Natural Born of the Void. After defeating this boss and activating the elevator behind the arena, you will arrive at the southern plateau of Liurnia. Advance north to the Moonlight Altar inside the Cathedral of Manos. Beware that in front of the cathedral, Glintstone Dragon Adula will ambush you. If you struggle with this fight, you can just rush past the dragon. It is not required that you defeat Adula to complete Rani's quest, although Adula drops a powerful sorcery upon defeat. If you drop down the hole inside the cathedral, you can free Rani and she will promise to meet you in the future. After that, it is possible to summon her at the end of the game for the Age of Stars achievement. For this ending, you will need to inherit the Frenzied Flame from the 3 fingers. Please note that you won't be able to complete any other ending if you inherited the flame, until you use Miquella's needle. I will explain how to get the needle later in this section. The 3 fingers are located in the Cathedral of the Forsaken in the Subterran Shunning Grounds. The Shunning Grounds can be entered through a well in Leyndell. It can be accessed in both versions of the capital, regular or ashen. This means defeating the Black Blade won't lock you out of this achievement. Once inside the Shunning Grounds, go to the hole in the floor located in the east. From there, enter the first pipe to your right and follow it. Watch the floor as to not fall down to 2 holes in the pipes. You will reach a quadratic room with a ladder to the south and a ogre lurking atop of it. Defeat or walk past the ogre and get to a room with a statue where you'll find a lever beside the big gate. Opening it will grant you a shortcut in case you might die. In the giant circular hall, jump down to the left after entering it and progress down the stairs. Ahead wait some flowers you will have to defeat. Run down the flight of stairs, turn around 180 degrees and enter another canalization system. At the end there is another big room with an ogre within. Climb up the ladder to the northwest and open the wooden door to activate another shortcut. After that, navigate atop the pipes and fight off some pesky basilisks, until you reach an opening in the canalization system. Jump inside and look for the giant rat to the left at the way fork. After defeating it and following the pipe for 2 left turns, jump into the second hole in the floor. After progressing further until you reach another ladder and fighting off some pot enemies, you'll finally reach an elevator which takes you to the Forsaken Depths Site of Grace. This one is located just before the boss Mog the Omen, which you will need to defeat to meet the 3 fingers. Behind the chest is a secret wall that leads you to the 3 fingers. First though, there is a little jumping puzzle that will make you wish FromSoft never invented the jumping function in Elden Ring. try dropping down on the ledges shown here to get to the ground safely. You will only be able to open the door of the fingers if you don't wear an armor. After interacting with the 3 fingers, you will be able to trigger the Lord of the Frenzied Flame ending after the final boss. In the following, I will describe how to get Miquella's Needle if you want to lose the inherited flame, so you can complete the other endings as well. For this, you will need to complete Millicent's questline. Begin with talking to Gowry in his shack near Celia, Town of Sorcery. He asks you to help him with a girl called Millicent. But first you will need to kill Commander O'Neill in the swamp of Aeonia. Attention, Millicent can invade you in the swamp, so be prepared. After returning the needle, you can reload the game and return to Gowry after he repaired it. You then have to bring the repaired needle to Millicent at the Church of the Plague. To get there, you need to light the beacons in town to open the door to the road that leads to this church. At the church you can give the needle to Millicent, reload the area and talk to her again. After giving you a talisman and reloading the area again, she will have moved to Gowry's shack. When returning there, he will be missing. After talking to Millicent and reloading, she will be gone again and Gowry will have returned. Next time you meet her will be near the Erdtree Gazing Hill site of grace. When talking to her, she will ask you to bring her the Valkyrie's prothesis from the shaded castle. Take something with you to get rid of the poison, as you will need to walk through poisoned water. Ride Torrent across the valley towards the north. You can enter the castle from a pile of stones in the west. Jump down into the courtyard with the poison and navigate towards the ladder in the center. After that, walk along the path to your left, directing north. At the end lies a small tower with a chest inside, holding the desired item. When you're in the castle anyway, you can also grab the shaded castle inner gate site of grace, located just to the east by jumping over the railing. You will need to kill the boss of this mini dungeon for full completion. After that, return to Millicent and give her the prothesis. Next, head to Dominula Windmill Village and defeat the Godskin Apostle, where she'll be waiting after reloading the area. If you already defeated the Apostle, she will just move there, no worries. Talk to her again to continue the questline. From there, she will move to the ancient Snow Valley Ruins site of grace at the mountain tops of the Giants. When you finish talking to her, she will move to the prayer room site of grace in Alphael Brace of the Halictree. This is an optional location behind the consecrated snowfields, which hosts a lot of other items and bosses for completion. The description on how to unlock those two zones is another point in this video. Watch here. Millicent won't move from there until you defeated the ulcerated tree spirit near the drainage channel Grace. After defeating the boss and reloading the area, there will be 2 summoning signs, one to help Millicent and one to kill her. You should decide to help her and defeat her 4 sisters. She will be laying at the pool of rot after the fight. When reloading the area, she will grant you an unalloyed gold needle and ending her questline. When you defeat Malenia, you will be able to use the needle on the flower and get Miquella's needle. To use the needle, you will have to go to the arena of Dragonlord Placidusax in Crumbling Farum Azula. You don't need to fight the Dragonlord to lose the flame, you just have to stand inside the arena to use the item. Margit the Fell Omen is one of the first bosses most players will meet in Elden Ring. Don't forget to use your spirit summons to make this fight easier. Especially the lone wolf ashes can distract him well. There is also an item that you can get from the NPC patches called Margit's Shackle to stun him momentarily. The sorcerer Rough here can be summoned to help in this fight. For this achievement you will have to defeat Godrick the Grafted at the end of Stormwell Castle. If you found Nefeli Loux near his arena, you will be able to summon her to significantly ease the fight. She is located where the green cross is, red is Godrick. Try to distract the boss with your summons and with Nefeli. Try to always stay behind him. Just before entering phase 2, try to get to the north side of the arena. He will always teleport into the middle and use his Fire Breath ability directing south. This way you can easily evade his attack. Use this moment to deal a lot of damage to him. This boss can be found in the Raya Lucaria Academy inside Liurnia of the Lakes. To enter it you will need an Academy Glintstone key which can be found behind Glintstone Dragon Smaragd. You won't have to fight the dragon itself to get the key, you can just ride in with Torrent and snatch it away. The Wolf of Radagon itself is located near the schoolhouse classroom site of Greats. It's a very agile and fast boss, which makes this a harder fight for ranged users. As always, try to use the Lone Wolf Ashes to distract it. This is another boss inside the academy and required for Ranni's questline. She is located at the top of the academy and a rather easy fight, although she has very high resistance to magic. An exception to this, or a good spell against her, would be Rocksling, due to her being vulnerable to it. For the fight itself, you will need to break the golden bubbles of 3 singing students to bring her down to the floor and inflict as much damage as possible. The students' bubbles only need 1 hit no matter the damage, so you can use a light melee attack for example to break them. After reducing her health bar to 0, phase 2 of the fight will begin and you will be teleported away. It is recommended to use your spirit summons in phase 2 rather than phase 1. For this achievement you will have to defeat Starscourge Radahn after activating the festival in Redmane Castle. The festival star can be achieved either by progressing through Ranni's questline, using the Lift of Dectus, or activating the Seathwater River Site of Grace. This boss must be defeated to enter Nochrone. Attention, the festival replaces the Misbegotten Warrior and Crucible Knight boss fight until you defeat Radahn. For the fight itself, it's possible to summon multiple NPCs to help in this fight. They can be resummoned as well after being defeated. Using them makes the fight significantly easier. I would also recommend to use Torrent during this fight. This mandatory boss is encountered in Leyndell Royal Capital near the West Capital Rampart Site of Grace. Navigate your way up the 3 branches to arrive at the boss's arena. This is the shade form of the later boss Hoarah. This is one of the easier fights in the game. Use a summon to distract him and bring in some damage. This achievement will be rewarded to those that defeat Morgott the Omen King, which is located just after Godfrey the First Lord in the capital. Melina can be summoned to help in this fight. Because this is the true identity of Margit, the shackles from patches also work on Morgott to stun him. At the mountain tops of the giants, right before the Forge of the Giants, is the mandatory boss Fire Giant located, which must be defeated to get the achievement of the same name. Because this boss can cleave, it is recommended to use spirit summons with big health pools. Try to close the distance with Torrent at the beginning of the fight and focus his left leg in bandages. After attacking it a few times he will stagger, which opens a window for dealing a lot of damage to the giant. Right at the beginning of the second phase, his weak spot, the eye, will be available to be attacked for some time. Magic users can use Comet Azure at this point to inflict massive damage. This duo is an optional boss fight in Crumbling Farum Azula. It is possible to summon Recusant Bernal to help you with this fight, which makes it a much easier as he can distract one of the 2 bosses together with your spirit summon. This boss fight functions a little bit different than other Godskin boss fights in pairs. The duo shares a health bar and the 2 must be defeated multiple times. They will gradually resummon after being defeated until the health bar is completely depleted. If you struggle with separating the bosses, another useful tactic is to use sleep pots or other sleep-inducing items on one of both bosses and then deal with the other one. Placidusax is located within the center of crumbling Farum Azula. Use the elevator beside the Great Bridge site of Grace to get down. Turn around and run past the gnolls through the church and jump down at the ledge near the trees. At the end of the way are some buried bones. You can lay down at the sinking without any bones to enter the boss arena. There are a lot of opportunities between the Dragonlord's rapid attacks where you can get in some damage. Even though the Dragonlord is quite resistant to hemorrhage, I found that bleed attacks were quite effective against it. For magic users, another viable option would be Rocksling. Maliketh the Black Blade is located at the end of the Great Bridge in crumbling Farum Azula. After defeating this boss, the capital will turn to Leyndell Ashen Capital and making it impossible to reach the item Bolt of Gransax. If you defeated Recusant Bernal just beforehand, you will get the item Blasphemous Claw, which can be used to deflect the Black Blade just like a parry. Phase 2 is a significant difficulty increase in this boss fight. One way to shorten this is to deal a lot of damage to the Beast Clergyman just before the phase transition, which will translate into the second phase, so you can start there with an advantage. This boss is more dangerous at a distance than close by, so try to stay near Maliketh so he doesn't use his ranged attacks. This is the second to last boss of the game and must be defeated at the same place where Morgott was. It is possible to summon Nepheli Loux if you completed her questline in becoming Lady of Limgrave. If you already hold the Frenzied Flame, it is also possible to summon Shardbearer. You can jump over the shockwaves of Hoarah's footstomps or roll through them. In the second phase is a big opening for ranged users to deal high damage when he does his explosion. This achievement is granted upon defeating the namesake boss at the end of Castle Morn in the far south of the Weeping Peninsula. Once at the castle, take the elevator at the end of the corridor. On top, go to the left wall and kill off the dogs. Stick to the wall and make your way west to the pumpkin head. After defeating it, make a right turn and climb up the ladder. On top, fight through some Misbegotten across the bridge until you reach the tower in the southeast. Drop down the ledge facing southwest to the site of Grace. From there, jump further down towards south and make a right turn on top of the building. Jump down into the hole and be prepared to be ambushed. Leave through the door southwest and turn right towards the stone bridge. From the middle of the bridge, jump down onto the rooftop and from there go further down to the floor. Head southeast and jump down onto the building. Drop into the hole so that you land on a wood beam, otherwise you will die from fall damage. Head to the bottom and be ready for combat. You can leave the building and make a sharp left turn to find another site of grace near the boss arena. From there head southwest to the rope bridge and jump down onto the beach. To the south lies the boss's arena. The arena is separated from the castle on a small island. Spirit Summon is useful to distract the boss as the Misbegotten uses many fast attacks. Therefore I would also recommend to use fast attacks or spells yourself. This boss is located at the end of Castle Sol in the mountain tops of the Giants. When entering the castle, right at the beginning awaits you a lion guardian that won't respawn if defeated. From there, continue on straight until you reach a wooden platform. Go up the stairs and turn to your left. Continue on that path until you reach some barracks where you will need to go upwards. After a turn, you will be ambushed by some spectral castle guards and a banished knight. Behind them lies the Church of Eclipse, including a site of grace and an interesting item. From there, head south and then out the door to the east and continue into the next building. Inside are 3 Albinaurics and 3 trapped screamers. Try to kill the screamers before they see you, otherwise they will summon further spectral enemies and make the way to the boss way harder. Just follow up the stairs and you will arrive at the boss's arena. The boss has 2 banished knights that help him. Ashen spirits are highly recommended to help you tank the boss while you finish off the adds first. He won't resummon them. After dealing with the adds, he will attack you way more aggressively. Similarly to Hoarah Loux, you can avoid the shockwaves from the footstomps by jumping. Elemer is the final boss of the Shaded Castle, which you have to visit during Millicent's quest. From the Shaded Castle inner gate, Site of Grace, head to the north and take a left turn to climb up a ladder. From there, head east inside a library of sorts. Take care as there is a page laying in ambush. Progress further through the door across the stone bridge and follow the path with the many statues. At the top on the plaza wait some strays and a clean rod knight. On the southern side is a ladder that can be kicked down to enable a shortcut. Take the elevator inside the central tower to the top where the boss's arena is located. Elemer is a fast attacking human boss, though it is possible to sneak up on him and deal some initial damage. As always, use a spirit summon to distract him and deal some damage. Mog the Omen lies at the end of the subterranean shunning grounds and can be reached as described at the Lord of Frenzy achievement. Similarly to Margit and Morgott, this boss can be stunned with an item found at the bottom of the pipes in the shunning grounds near two giant lobsters. Take care as it can only be used twice per fight. Try to hide behind the pillars when he uses his blood splatter wave. This boss can be found atop the ruin-strewn precipice. Head through the canyon in the north of Liurnia of the Lakes to the ruins to the ravine-veiled village Site of Grace. It is recommended to bring something to heal poison, as there are quite some poison traps inside this dungeon. Climb up the ladder and then fight through some vulgar militiamen and head towards the wooden elevator to go up. There will be some miners and other enemies. Make your way to the ledge and the namesake Site of Grace. Take another elevator and begin your climb along the linear pathways on this mountainside while fighting some giant bats. After climbing some more ladders, you will arrive at a platform with small land octopodes and a singing bat. After defeating them, you can take the elevator to a Site of Grace just before the boss's arena. The boss is a named version of the Magma Wyrm bosses and functions similarly like its counterparts. You can summon 3 different NPCs for this fight. Great Horned Tragoth, the Blackguard if he's still alive, and Millicent if you healed her in the Church of Vows. Weaker spirit summons can die easily against this foe because of the large lava AoE. Try to use a tankier one. It's recommended to stay close to his legs as a melee or just kite it around the big pillar in the middle of the arena if you're a ranged character. There are multiple Godskin Nobles in the lands between, but for this achievement you will have to kill the one in Volcanic Manor located at the Temple of Aelay. When inside the manor, go to the hallway on your right and enter the first door to your right with the key you get from Tanith. At the back of the room on the right side is an illusionary wall that you can reveal upon hitting. You will then have to fight in a small corridor against some snails. You will arrive in a bigger hall with some stairs to your right. Follow them and be prepared for a Bloodhound Knight fight. Continue up some stairs until you reach the prison town church Site of Grace. Walk out of the big doors and turn to your right where you will meet the first of many man serpents in this legacy dungeon. Continue onto the rooftops to the left. Then jump down to the floor in the northwest after the gate. This way you can avoid the Omen killer. Go up the stairs to your left and then make another left turn at the top. You will arrive at the church with closed doors. Go to the right where a ladder to the rooftop is mounted on a wall. Once on top, head towards the chapel in the middle and jump through the window. Fight off the enemies when landing on the floor and keep going downwards until you reach the guest hall Site of Grace. Open the big wooden gate and you overlook a big lava lake. Take the ladder on the south side to the bottom and cross the flowing lava. You can then walk up a path to the southeast until you reach a balcony. Kill off the man serpent and take the cage elevator to the east up to the next balcony. There you find the stairs leading to the Church of Aelay, a nasty trash mob and the boss fight. By now you should already have some experience in dealing with those pesky nobles. Don't forget to summon a spirit to distract it and take care of the black flame spells. Rykard is another Shardbearer boss and is located inside the volcanic manor. There are two possible ways to get to Rykard. After defeating the previously mentioned Godskin Noble, an elevator to your right will activate. Ride it to the top and go out onto the balcony. Jump over the railing onto the mountain. Navigate along the path and fight off some lava snails. Make your way to the top of this cliffside until you reach a lava lake. Head to the building in the west and jump into the window. Beware, there is an abductor virgin waiting for you in front. Open the wooden door to the right and fight past a man-serpent with a fire leash. On top, head to the northwest where more enemies lie in wait. At the end waits a big cathedral where you will need to open a door inside. Fight your way to the top of the stairs to the throne. On the balcony behind the throne is a waygate teleported that will bring you to the boss's arena. Another way would be to help Tanith with her questline and completing the 3 contracts for her. After killing All Knight Istvan in Stormhill beside the Divine Bridge, Rylay the Idol in the valley towards the Shaded Castle, and Juno Hoslow near the Shack of the Lofty in the mountain tops of the Giants, Tanith will offer you to meet her lord, which will teleport you to a site of grace right before the boss room. For the boss itself, it's recommended to use the Serpent Hunter Great Spear just at the beginning of the arena. Use the Mimic Tier Spirit Ash with the spear equipped. The Mimic Tier will use the spear and its special ability as well. This tactic makes this fight enormously easier. As a little bonus, after you defeat Rykard, you can return to the arena later where Tanith will be feasting on Rykard's corpse. If you wish, you can kill her, which will summon her bodyguard. Defeat him, you get his armor as well as Tanith's robe as a reward. This boss is located in the Hallowhorn grounds near the Siofra riverbank. You can get there from using the elevator in the Mistwood forest at the Siofra river well. Once at the bottom, fight your way to the riverbank site of grace. To activate the boss, you will need to light 8 beacons strewn around Siofra River. The green crosses are the beacons and the red cross is the boss. After doing so, all lights will be lit on the stairs towards the boss's corpse. You can then interact with it and you will be teleported to the boss arena and can fight the Ancestor Spirit. The arena is very large and the attacks of the boss are rather slow, which makes this fight much easier. You will stumble across this boss during Ranni's questline to retrieve the Fingerslayer blade after entering Nokron and traversing through the city. This boss can be cheesed easily if you struggle fighting it. The Mimic will only use the equipped weapons of the player, so you could just enter barehanded and then equip a weapon as soon as the tier has copied your shape. After defeating the previously mentioned tier, you can travel further along the bridge until you enter a wide field. Similarly to the Ancestor Spirit, you will have to light another 6 beacons to summon this boss. Their locations are once again marked on a map, green the beacons and red the boss. This fight is mostly similar to the Ancestor Spirit, but after losing 3/4 of its life, it will heal itself and gain a new moveset. For magic users, it is important to bring enough Eternal Tier flasks due to the heals of the boss that granted a massive total health pool. In close vicinity of the Regal Ancestor Spirit lies the Siofra Aqueduct, which can be entered by going around the small ledge on the right side of the big hill. Walk until you reach the aqueduct facing Cliff's Site of Grace. Jump down to the bar in the east and drop down to the bottom, but beware of the patrolling knight. Make your way further east until you reach a big hall with water in it. In the northeast is a stairway that leads to a gigantic cave with the duo boss fight in it. The 2 gargoyles use differing weapons. First, only the sword gargoyle will appear and it's advisable to not take too much damage. The second gargoyle doesn't enter on a timer, but when the first one reaches half health. Try to summon a Spirit Ash to distract the second entering Gargoyle and focus down the first one. The Twin Blade Gargoyle uses a Twin Blade and a Great Axe. If you feel more comfortable with one or the other movesets of the Gargoyle's weapons, you can wait that one out. It is also advisable to bring a cure against poison for this fight. The Lichdragon Fortissax in the Deeproot Depths can only be fought if you complete Fia's questline and is also the prerequisite for the Age of Duskborn ending. In the following I will explain how to complete Fia's complete questline. After resting at any site in Altus Plateau, you can return to Fia and ask her to hold your head. When you do this, you will be able to talk to her and she will hand you a weathered dagger. You should then be able to talk to D, Hunter of the Dead, in the Roundtable Hold and give him the dagger. As soon as you defeat a second Shardbearer, you can get a map from Fia with the location of a black knife print. This item is also required in Sorcerer Rohir's questline, so there are effectively two ways the player learns of this item's existence and location. This item lies within the aptly named Black Knife Catacombs in the northern part of Liurnia of the Lakes. Inside the dungeon, make your way forward and fight off a skeleton. After that, turn left. The door in front leads to another boss fight that is not needed for this quest. We will be ambushed by more skeletons, but you should just ignore them as they will get respawned endlessly until you kill the necromancer around the corner. Dodge the arrows of the skeleton archers and use the second giant guillotine as an elevator. On top resides another necromancer that respawns the archers. If you kill him, they will despawn as well. Continuing forward, there is a third of these annoying resummoning sorcerers, which you can deal with as well. In the room before the boss are laying skeletons that will ambush you. You can summon the Hunter of the Dead for this fight, which can be very useful because this fast and hard-hitting Black Knife assassin is way easier to defeat when it gets distracted. When re-entering the Roundtable Hold area, you will notice that a door behind you opened, where you will find Fia standing beside Dee's corpse. She will promptly leave after that. Next, head to the Deeproot Depths, which can be entered after defeating the Valiant Gargoyles and using the Coffin Elevator. An alternative path to the depths is by going through a hidden passage near the Frenzied Flame Proscription Site of Grace. The invisible wall is located southeast of the room. From the Great Waterfall Crest Site of Grace, head west across the Big Chasm. From the Deeproot Depths Site of Grace, go north and then west to the nameless Eternal City Site of Grace. You can spot a giant root east from this site. Climb it up to the top until the Across the Root Site of Grace. Upon entering the wide area after that, you will be ambushed by Fia's challengers. After winning this battle, you will be able to talk to her at the back of the arena, where she'll be asking you for the curse mark of death, which you get while doing Ranni's questline. After bringing her the curse mark and talking to her, the player can reload the area and find her sleeping on the tree. After interacting, you will be teleported to the Deathbed Dream and can finally fight the Lichdragon Fortissax. This fight is very similar to the one against his sibling Dragon Lanciax in Altus Plateau. The lightning spear and attacks of Fortissax are quite slow, so it should be easy to dish out some damage before dodging its attacks. As a bonus, after defeating the Lichdragon, you can give the twinned armor set to Hunter's brother near the Valiant Gargoyles to help him avenge his brother if you wish. When you return to the Site of Grace, we will encounter Dee's brother besides the corpse of Fia. After reloading the area again, you will get the twinned armor back, as well as the inseparable sword of Dee's twin brother. This boss can be found in the southwest of Ainsel River. You get there by entering the elevator at the Ainsel River Well. Once at the bottom, make your way towards the west, where the many giant ants are located. Fight your way along these ant-infested tunnels until you reach the Ool Palace ruins. In the cave with the many bones, you can jump up the stones to a room with many ant eggs and enemies. This way will lead you to a higher position, and it's easier to bypass the many claymans in the ruins. Make your way through the corridor in the northwest until you reach a great hall with a malformed star hanging from the ceiling. For this boss you can ignore it and just turn left and follow the river further west, where also Ainsel River downstream site of Grace is located. Following the river north and killing all the ants, you will arrive at the boss arena. The Dragonkin uses slow but heavy damage attacks, which can kill squishy summons. Because of that, it is advisable to use a tankier spirit summon to avert the Dragonkin soldier's attention. Especially in its second phase, the boss can leap across the whole arena and deal damage in a wide AoE. Royal Knight Loretta blocks the way to Ranni's rise and is therefore required to be killed to complete Ranni's questline. She is located at the top of Caria Manor in the north of Liurnia. When entering the castle from the main Caria Manor gate, turn left and try to avoid all of the finger creepers, especially the big buried ones. At the far left is a building that you can go upwards to reach the manor lower level site of Grace. Go out of the door and continue forwards across the stone bridge. Take care of the spectral traps and ambushes from spectral soldiers. At the end of the path, turn left and head up the large stairs to the wooden elevator which leads to the manor upper level site of Grace. Head out the door to the north and climb down the stairs through some wolves and towards another stair, where you can turn left in direction west. Instead of going through the big gate and facing off many enemies, you can just take a sharp left again and run towards the ladder. Climb it and go towards the wooden stairs and take another sharp right turn fighting some trash mobs. Circle around the left and stick to the wall. This way the Troll Knight should ignore you. Walk up the stairs and finish up the 2 pages ambushing you, and you should stand in front of the arena now. The best tactic for this fight is to stay at a distance when she uses her sorceries and try to get into her back while she's distracted by your spirit summon. Take care of her great bow attack, be ready to dodge her shot as soon as she starts charging it. Astel is another boss that you will meet during Ranni's questline. Take care, as just at the beginning of the fight, Astel will shoot a laser beam that deals very high damage, which should be instantly dodged. It is advisable to target the limbs or head of Astel because they take way more damage than the body, but are also harder to hit. To get to this boss, you first need to get to the consecrated snowfield, solve the puzzle in Ordina Liturgical Town, and then advance into Miquella's Haligtree. As these are all optional zones away from the main path and hold many items and bosses for completing Elden Ring, I will shortly explain how to get there. First, you will need both halves of the Haligtree secret medallion. The right half can be found at the village of the Albinorics in Liurnia of the Lakes. You will have to hit the pot behind the perfumer near the site of Grace. Doing so will reveal the NPC Albus, who will then award you with the right side. This is also a part of Latena's questline if you intend to complete it. The left half can be found after defeating Commander Niall on top of the tower. With both halves you will be able to hoist the secret medallion at the Lift of Rold. Just switch left or right when interacting with the elevator and you will be able to ride the lift downwards to enter the snowfield. Once there, go up to the north through the thick snowstorm. Up north you will find the liturgical town Ordina, which is marked green on the map. You will have to solve a puzzle inside the Evergale at the north side of town to open the portal to Miquella's Haligtree. To do this, you will have to light 4 beacons. Beware, there are lurking some invisible assassins around the Evergale. If you wish, you can equip a sentry torch in your offhand, which you can buy from the Hermit Merchant in Hermit Merchant's shack in the outskirts of Leyndell Royal Capital. Doing so will reveal invisible enemies. but you will also be easier to spot for them. It should be possible to light the fires without this torch though. The already lit torches won't expire when you die, so you can attempt to suicide squad them one by one. The first is located right in the middle of town, where also one of those annoying assassins is hiding. As mentioned before, you can just suicide run this one if you wish. The second beacon can be reached by circling around the west side of town from the Evergale and going up a ladder. The third is directly south from the Evergale after jumping over a fence and then over a railing. After that, climb some ladders and you reach beacon number 3. The fourth is quite difficult because there are 2 archers on the rooftops that will snipe you when trying to reach the beacon. If you're a ranged build, you can try to snipe them from the stairway north of the Evergale. After doing so, you can go back to torch 3 and then jump down and walk across the roofs to reach the ladder for the last one. Once at Miquella's Haligtree, you'll have to advance until the end of this area at the bottom. You can activate an elevator right before the boss to get a shortcut from the Haligtree town site of grace. This is the corporeal form of Loretta's fight from Caria Manor and is therefore quite similar. One of the bigger differences is the great bow attack that fires now 4 arrows instead of 1, otherwise it's mostly the same. After defeating Loretta, Knight of the Haligtree, you get access to Elphael, Brace of the Haligtree. At the very bottom of this zone resides Malenia, Blade of Miquella. She can be found after using the elevator behind the chapel. You can get there from the drainage channel site of grace by navigating across the 3 branches. This is in my opinion the hardest fight of a game, because she is very fast and uses an annoying attack. A few things to consider while fighting her is to dodge most of her attacks by rolling to the side. The waterfall dance is her most dangerous attack. When she starts charging it by going up into the air, it is advisable to run away from her as far as possible to dodge the first 2 attacks. The third should be avoided by rolling towards her and then try to keep your distance again for the last strike. To note is also that she has very low poise, which makes it easy to interrupt her and knock her down. The Black Knife Tyche Spirit is extremely strong against this boss because Malenia is vulnerable to bleed and the spirit can knock her down. After her phase 2 transition, she will always use her flower explosion called Scarlet Oenia, after which she will be vulnerable and stand still for a few moments, which is a great opportunity to get in some big damage. For magic users, the incantation called Swarm of Flies, which can be found in the swamp of Mogwyn Palace, is a very strong option due to her weakness against hemorrhage. This is a harder version of the Mog the Omen boss and can be found in the Mogwyn Palace in Siofra River. One way to reach this place is by using the Waygate teleporter south of Apostate Derelict in the consecrated snowfields. Before using the teleporter, you will need to kill the Sanguine Noble that is invading you once nearing the location. The other way to get to the palace is by completing White-Faced Varys questline and using the Pureblood Knight's medal you get from them. Once in the Mogwyn Palace, head to the north through the marsh before circling around at the top and turning west and then south. Go up the stairs and do a left turn to the Dynasty Mausoleum entrance site of grace. Follow the way upwards until you reach a cave with multiple Sanguine Nobles inside. After that, there is a last slope towards the top with the Dynasty Mausoleum midpoint site of grace. The boss is right around the corner, so you can ignore the Albinaurax and the Sanguine Noble for now, although inside the chest waits a somber ancient dragon smithing stone that's used for another achievement. Even though this is technically the same boss as Mog the Omen, he still has more mechanics than its counterpart and even a second phase. At the beginning of the fight, he will walk towards you very slowly, which is a perfect opportunity for magic users to use Comet Azure. In its first phase, he will curse you 3 times after certain health thresholds, and when reaching the second phase, he will detonate those curses on you to deal massive damage and heal himself. You will need to heal yourself during this phase, so take enough flasks with you. Similarly to the Mog the Omen fight, the item Mog's Shackle can be used against him as well. For this achievement you will need to get all the legendary talismans in the game. I stored them in my chest and I got the achievement. If it doesn't trigger for you, try to switch them into your inventory. All legendary items are recognized by their description where it's stated that they are legendary. This talisman can be found while exploring Fort Faroth in Caelid. After fighting the winged dames and bats, climb up the ladder to the roof. There will be a hole where you can drop down. After that, jump around the corner, but take care of the giant rats that are hiding there to fall in your back. After going around another corner and dropping down further, you can find the talisman on a corpse. To reach this talisman, you have to leave the debate parlor side of Grace towards the north and then make 2 right turns and jump over the railing. After climbing up the ladder, you will find a broken window. Inside, you'll spot a treasure chest on the northwestern region with the talisman in it. This talisman is dropped by Godfrey the Crafted in the golden lineage Evergale. You shouldn't be confused with Godrick the Crafted, which totally doesn't look just like him and doesn't use the same attacks as his first phase, and has a completely different name as well. You will need to go east from the Altus Plateau side of Grace and then right until you cross beneath a big stone arc. Don't forget to bring a stone sword key with you to unlock the Evergale. This talisman can be found atop the buildings of the palace inside the cathedral. You traverse through there in Ranni's questline. Go up the stairs from the Noxtella Eternal City side of Grace. Beware of the giant rolling balls while going upwards. When entering the cathedral, you will also need to defeat 2 Silvertears and a Swordstress before you will be able to get the talisman. When in Crumbling Farum Azula, you will need to go in the opposite direction from the boss arena of the Great Bridge side of Grace. After going down some stairs, a short right turn and climbing down a ladder, you will be invaded by Great Knight Bearsal. After defeating him and some other small enemies, you will find the talisman inside a chest. Please note that defeating Knight Bearsal will also grant you a legendary armament. Start at the prayer room side of Grace at the Elfvale Brace of the Haligtree and follow the way across multiple soldiers and down some stairs. When the stairs start to go in the opposite direction, you can hop down on a roof. At the floor, head towards the southern end, but beware of some strong revenants on the way that will spawn in. The talisman will be inside the room, which must be opened with a stone sword key. From the drainage channel side of Grace in Elfvale Brace of the Haligtree, you will have to navigate across some branches towards the chapel, but instead of dropping down to the balcony, head towards the roof. Jump through the hole onto some wooden beams. Carefully jump to the elevated platform and take out the Lesser Kindred of Rot. There you will find the talisman. The Erdtree's favorite talisman +2 can only be obtained after gaining access to the Leyndell Ashen Capital after defeating Maliketh the Blackblade. From the Forbidden Lands, Grace, use the elevator to go upwards. Head west past some soldiers and knights until you reach the wooden elevator. You will notice that the area with water is now covered in ash and roamed by 3 lesser ulcerated tree spirits. If you have no desire in fighting against the tree spirits, you can just stick to the left wall and run until you reach a wooden stump with the talisman atop. For this achievement you will need to get all the legendary sorceries and incantations in the game. I stored them in my chest and I got the achievement. If it doesn't trigger for you, try to switch them into your inventory. All legendary items are recognized by their description where it's stated that they are legendary. This incantation is dropped by Adan, Thief of Fire, which resides in the Malefactor's Evergale. You can reach the Evergale in two ways, once from the northwest through the marches of Liurnia of the lakes and ride across some fire monks. Alternatively, it's easier to just go west from the Liurnia lake shore site of Grace and use the Spirit Spring with Torrent to jump onto the plateau. From there it's only a few steps to the east and you will be at the Evergale. Radahn also uses the Flame of the Fell God incantation themselves. Take a few steps away from the flaming fall when it's headed towards you, as it has quite a big explosion radius and deals a lot of damage. For this incantation you will first have to defeat Elder Dragon Greyroll that is laying just west of Fort Faroth. Around Greyroll wander 5 dragons, which you will need to defeat to drain its health. After defeating Greyroll, you will be awarded with some dragon hearts and unlock the incantation at the Cathedral of Dragon Communion in the south of Caelid. These hearts are enough to be able to buy the incantation right away. This extremely powerful spell can be acquired by talking to Sorcerer Azure in Mount Gelmir. You can get there from Seathwater Terminus in the north of Mount Gelmir. Starting there, ride west past the Castle of the Fire Monks and the Magma Wyrm, southwest up the slope. After following this path for some time, you will come across the Craftsman's Shack and the Hermit Village. At the back of the village resides the boss demi-human Queen Maggie. If you don't want to fight her, you can ride past her and drop down a small cliff at the back to find the site of Grace and primeval Sorcerer Azure. Talking to them will grant you the sorcery. This sorcery can be found during Selen's questline. Selen is located in Waypoint's ruin in Western Limgrave after defeating the dungeon boss Mad Pumpkinhead. After telling her that you want to study sorcery under her, you will be able to show her the Comet Azure sorcery if you got it on you. Doing so will prompt her to ask you for assistance in finding Master Leusat, which is hidden inside Celia Hideaway in Caelid. You can find the cave with Leusat north of the Church of Plague. The entry is concealed by an illusionary wall behind one of the graves. You won't have to defeat the dungeon boss to get to Leusat, just go to the second pit and you'll find Leusat in a small mound. This will award you the Stars of Ruin sorcery. Please note that this is not yet the end of the questline of Selen. Head to Deeproot Depths and go west from the Great Waterfall Crest site of Grace until you arrive at the chasm. Navigate across the roots towards a cave inside the wall in the northwest. Fight through some giant ants until you can loot this legendary incantation from a corpse. This sorcery is located within Gelona's Rise in the southwestern corner of the plateau in Liurnia of the Lakes. This tower can only be reached after you progressed far into Ranni's questline and defeated Astel Naturalborn of the Void. As usual, you will have to find the ghost turtles to open the tower, but this time they are spread out across the whole plateau. Don't forget that fast traveling or resting at the site of Grace will respawn the turtles, so you have to find and kill them all in one go. Additionally, in my playthrough this puzzle was somehow very bugged, as you will see in the footage very soon, but I'll try to show you the location of the turtles anyway. The first can be found just west of Gelona's Rise, chilling on a cliff. The second one is in the east, south of the Lunar Estate ruins. The turtle should reside on the lowered cliff. The last one is close to the ringleader's Evergale in the northwest of the plateau and flying through the sky. Inside the woods is a spirit spring that should make it easier to get to the turtle. As you can see, the game bugged out for me and I just opened the tower somehow while using the spirit spring, even though I didn't kill the turtle. After opening the tower you can climb up to the top and find it in a chest as usual. This spell is locked away in another sorcerer's tower called Heretical Rise within the mountain tops of the Giants. This tower must be entered by unusual means. I would recommend to craft a lot of rainbow stones, as these can be very helpful in this completion step. First head to the Freezing Lake site of Grace and go north and then west until you reach the destroyed bridge across the valley towards the tower. The bridge is not entirely gone though, it's just invisible. You can map out the path across the valley by using the rainbow stones. In the first part the bridge goes straight, but towards the end it becomes a spiral staircase. When coming close to the end, the last part of the bridge will reveal itself and the tower can be entered via the balcony. Take care, inside this one will be some enemies. After defeating them and reaching the top, you can get your reward inside a chest. For this achievement you will need to get all the legendary ashen remains in the game. I stored them in my chest and I got the achievement. If it doesn't trigger for you, try to switch them into your inventory. All legendary items are recognized by their description where it's stated that they are legendary. This spirit can be found inside the Tombsword catacombs on the Weeping Peninsula in the south. The entrance to the dungeon is located south of the Church of Pilgrimage underneath the Erdtree. Go down the stairs, turn to the right and fight past some skeletons. After going down a flight of stairs, turn east. At the end of this corridor, at the right turn, will be a flame trap. As you can see in my example, such traps will remain shut off when you die. You can activate and deactivate fire traps by hitting them. You will have to get on top of the turned off trap and then hit it again so it acts like an elevator. Follow the path to the west past some more skeletons, do a right turn and you should see the lever to open the boss door, which is located at the beginning of the dungeon. The boss of this dungeon is a cemetery shade. This enemy type is quite fast and hits hard. Additionally, multiple skeletons will be summoned when entering the fog. It's best to use a spirit summon to distract them from you and then try to deal a lot of damage to the shade in a short time. It's recommended to use fast hitting spells or attacks. This spirit can be found within the War Dead catacombs in Caelid. They can only be reached after defeating Starscourge Radahn. From his site of grace, head towards the far north, where you will find the entrance to the dungeon. Inside, you will meet multiple spirits engaged in combat. You can ignore them and run straight through the middle and turn right up the stairs. Take care, as there is a ranged knight on the balcony on the opposite side which will target you. If you are a ranged character, it would be advisable to deal with the knight at this moment. Otherwise, you can run along. Run past more knights and soldiers and turn right twice. In the second last room you can jump through a window on the right side. In this room there will be another window on the opposite side of the ledge. Behind the window is the before mentioned archer. If the ranged knight is still alive, kill them just after jumping through the window. On this balcony you will now find the lever that opens the boss door, which is located at the other end of the Great Hall from the beginning. The boss of this dungeon is one of the many putrid tree spirits within the game. After defeating it you will gain the Redmane Knight Ogre Spirit Ash. This is a very powerful Spirit Ash that can help out in many boss battles of the game, as it copies your character and its weapons and skills. Because it uses health points instead of focus points, it's also a great summon choice for non-magic users. To unlock it, you will need to go to the Knight's Sacred Ground, which you have to visit during Runny's quest line to get the Fingerslayer Blade. When inside the big cathedral on the top floor, head towards the fog wall and open it with a stone sword key. Prepare for an ambush, as there are enemies behind the wall. After killing them, you can loot the ashes from the chest. First you will need to get to Sainted Hero's grave in Altus Plateau. Head west from the Rampart side path, Site of Grace, through the lightning strikes towards the big statue. You will have to defeat a Black Knight assassin to enter the grave. After you took the elevator down to the Site of Grace, follow the path until you reach a big hall. This dungeon has a light darkness puzzle, signalized by the two imps when standing on the ledge. The dark imps must be lured into the light circle to be damaged. Skip the first two imps by jumping down at the far south of the ledge and continue down the stairs. You will arrive at a quadratic hall with pillars and an ominous looking ground. When you step on it, the floor will collapse and you drop down into a circle of light. Fight off the imps and head down the stairs towards north to the guillotines. After a right turn, you will find a ladder on the right side, which you will have to climb. Beware when dropping down on the other side, as there will spawn 2 revenants. Leave the room towards the west across the short stone bridge. In the next hall, a Grave Warden duelist shrouded in darkness awaits you. You will have to kite the duelist back to the circle of light in the room where the floor collapsed. Turn around and jump down the bridge into the water. Take care of the guillotines and head all the way back. As soon as the warden enters the circle, unload as much damage as possible, because the enemies get stunned for a brief moment upon entering a circle. Defeating the warden will open a door at the end of the corridor with the guillotines where the ladder was. Defeat the ancient hero of Zamor inside the arena to get the ashes. Beware of her frost breath and try to dodge to the side for her other attacks. Similarly to Ranni's Darkmoon, this ash can only be acquired after defeating Astel, Natural Born of the Void. In the northwest of the plateau, where also the flying spirit turtle can be found, lies the ringleader's Evergaol. Inside, defeat Alecto, Black Knife Ringleader, which is a very fast assassin boss. Try dodging her attacks, as blocking won't help much in this fight. Sorcery builds might want to use a Dula's Moonblade that you can get during Ranni's questline, as the AoE and slow is very strong against Alecto. This is a hard fight, but the reward is very much worth it if you have enough focus points, as the Black Knife Tyke summon is very strong. This Spirit Ash can be found in Elphael, Brace of the Haligtree. Head down the stairs from the prayer room, Site of Grace, past the soldiers similarly to Marika's Soreseal, but instead of jumping down into the alley, you will have to jump onto the strut and from there to the left onto the pavilion. Take care, as there are 2 Cleanwood Knights guarding this treasure. After taking them out, you can loot the ashes inside the room. For this achievement, you will need to get all the legendary armaments in the game. I stored them in my chest and I got the achievement. If it doesn't trigger for you, try to switch them into your inventory. All legendary items are recognized by their description where it's stated that they are legendary. Please note that the Bolt of Gransax will become unobtainable towards the end of the game, so you will have to get it beforehand. This scepter is dropped by Bernal either when you kill him on first meeting him at Warmaster's Shack in Stormhill, or after he has become recusant Bernal when you killed Rykard and the Volcano Manor is empty, on the way to the Old Lord's Talisman in Crumbling Farum Azula. From the beside the Great Bridge Site of Grace, go to the temple and climb down the ladder towards the tower where he will invade you. Don't worry if you die during this invasion, as he will re-invade you upon returning there. Take care to not walk too far into the tower, as you might pull aggro on more enemies. This weapon is dropped by the Leonine Misbegotten in Castle Morn, deep in the south of the Weeping Peninsula. Look here for more information regarding this boss. This weapon is dropped by the boss duo Misbegotten Warrior and Crucible Knight in Redmine Castle Plaza. This castle is located in the south of Caelid. From the impassable Great Bridge, run along the path with Torrent and just before the castle door, turn right and make your way around the castle. You can climb up a ladder to then drop down again on the left side and open a one-way door to ease your way into the castle should you die. Run towards the barricade in the courtyard, past 2 line guardians and some soldiers on flamethrowers. Please note that this boss fight is only available before or after Radahn's festival. You don't have to be afraid that the sword becomes unobtainable, because the boss will come back sometime after defeating Radahn and ending the festival, if you missed the duo the first time. For the boss fight, try to focus on the Misbegotten first, as the knight will spawn in later and only moves slowly towards you. Use a tanky Spirit Ash to distract one of the 2 bosses from you, so you can deal with the other in the meantime. The Misbegotten is a fast boss, so keep this in mind. The Crucible Knight on the other hand is slow, but uses a shield to block incoming damage. The Sword of Night and Flame can be found in Caria Manor in the north of Liurnia of the Lakes, where the boss Royal Knight Loretta is located as well. From the manor lower level site of Grace, go straight towards the rooftops and turn left at the first intersection. Follow the way until the end where you can spot a rooftop northwards where you have to jump down. From there you will spot another roof with a ladder leading to the floor. Inside is a small room with a chest that holds the sword. This legendary sword is another boss drop that can be obtained when defeating Elemer of the Briar. Look here to get more information. This armament will become unobtainable once you defeat Maliketh the Black Blade and the capital will turn into Leyndell Ashen Capital, so you will have to get it beforehand. Start at the Erdtree Sanctuary site of Grace where you defeated Godfrey, first Elden Lord in his shade form, and go west towards the door. After using the elevator, fight through some perfumers until you see the giant spear right on your left. From there, leap over the railing onto the destroyed rooftop and jump onto the spear. At the end you can find the Bolt of Gransax. Take care to not fall down. This item is the reward for completing Ranni's questline. She will give it to you inside the Cathedral of Manus Celeste. The Eclipse Shuttle can be found inside Castle Sol in the mountain tops of the Giants at the altar of the Church of the Eclipse. This sword is a boss drop inside the Cave of the Forlorn in the consecrated snowfield. It lies east of the inner consecrated snowfield inside the valley that separates north and south of the snowfields. You can enter the dungeon without fighting the Magma Wyrm at the end of the chasm, but beware that the entry is guarded by a land octopus and you will need a stone sword key to open it. Once inside, navigate across the frozen floor until you reach some pillars that you can climb. Jump across them until you can fall down into a hole, so you may enter the lower floor of the dungeon, where also a stake of Marika is located. After that you will have to fight through some jellyfishes until you reach another hole in the ground. At the bottom waits the Misbegotten Crusader. This boss is like a normal Leonine Misbegotten, but wields the Golden Order Greatsword. Although the boss's moveset doesn't differ much from other Misbegotten, the sword deals massive damage when hitting you. This achievement will be awarded once you upgrade an armament to its highest level. There are two different types of armaments in the game, normal and special, which each use differing upgrade materials. The standard smithing and somber smithing stones can be found all across the world and can even be bought by merchants like Smithing Master Iji or the Twin Maiden Husk after you bring them the corresponding bell bearings. However, to reach the maximum level of 25 of a normal weapon, you will need an ancient dragonsmithing stone. Special weapons reach their maximum at level 10, which can only be upgraded with a somber ancient dragonsmithing stone. I got the achievement for a special armament, so I can't confirm if a normal weapon will suffice for the trophy, but according to the description it should work. There are 13 ancient dragonsmithing stones in the game, and if you complete the game anyway, you should come across some of these naturally, as they are sometimes the reward for a boss, as described in the video. In case you struggle finding one or would like to get one earlier, here is a list of them on the screen. Two easy ones are those to the southeast of the Church of Repose, or the one inside the chest after defeating Loretta, Knight of the Haligtree. Of the somber variant can be found 8 in total. Here's a list as well. One that's easily accessible is right in front of the boss arena of Morg, Lord of Blood, inside a chest guarded by a bunch of Albinarics and a Sanguine Noble. When you got all the necessary ingredients, you just have to upgrade a weapon of your choice at Hughes in Roundtable Hold, and you will get the achievement. This is the final achievement. You will get it when completing all of the previous ones to celebrate your completion journey. And with that, I want to say goodbye and thank you for watching.